I'm back in LA, and you know what that means. I get to review and shop at stores that I don't usually have access to here in Canada. I'm back here on another brand trip, this time with Skinceuticals, one of my favorite skincare brands, and I am so happy to be here. So thank you so much, Skinceuticals, for bringing me here and for giving me access to all these fun stores. And if you're new here, my name is Jen, and I make fashion reviews here on YouTube. I also post my outfits on Instagram, and I make short form content on TikTok, so make sure you check those out. I'll put links to my other socials down in the description. The first store we're reviewing today is Veronica Beard. I've actually never heard of the store until so many people on my Instagram requested for me to review this brand. It's actually sold at the Bay in Canada, but I've never seen a standalone store, so let's go in. By the way, if you have stores that you want me to review, make sure you're following me on Instagram because I usually ask people for ideas on my Instagram stories. When I walked into the store, it's definitely a different shopping experience than shopping at the Bay in Canada. All the clothes were nicely arranged, very boutique style. It kind of feels like a mix of southern France and corporate life. It's a very interesting feeling. I only picked a few pieces to try on because my friend was waiting for me, so let's go ahead and do it. The first thing I picked is this cashmere sweater. It's 100% cashmere. And the first thing I looked at was the buttons. I find a lot of companies these days cheap out on the buttons, so it's really important to look at the hardware. And these buttons were not cheap. They were weighty. They felt like good quality. They had the emblem embossed in it. It was quite pretty. The buttonholes are actually also very lovely. They're actually knit into the knit and not actually cut and then reinforced with thread. So it gives them a more delicate look, but I feel like they may also not be as durable. The ribbing on the sleeves also look quite neat. I didn't find any pilling on the sweaters. It was very soft to the touch, and it was a little bit sheer for my liking, but it's nothing unexpected. And this sweater goes for almost $500, which is pretty standard market price for a cashmere sweater. These jeans are also pretty pricey, $350. They contain some polyester, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't see any reason to include polyester in jeans. It's usually 100% cotton or 98% cotton with 2% elastin for stretch. So why they included polyester is interesting to me. I would love to hear the reasoning. Otherwise, I found the sewing on the jeans to be quite neat. All the different loops, details, pockets, hardware, buttons look properly installed. The hem on the pants is a little bit uneven looking, but that's because they folded in the fabric twice. And here's the try on. I think it looks exactly how you thought it would. The cashmere was extremely soft and comfortable. It doesn't look that sheer now that I'm wearing it. The jeans fit nicely too. I'm wearing a size 26 and it fit through the bum, through the thighs, and it had a low flare at the bottom. I thought the length was quite nice for my height. I'm 5'4" for reference. All in all, pretty cute outfit. I didn't see any red flags, besides the use of polyester in their jeans. Next is this tweed dress. I love the color of this dress, and I've been a sucker for tweed items lately. I think right off the bat, you can tell that this dress is nicely constructed. Even at the back, it looks perfectly symmetrical, and the invisible zip is installed perfectly. It looks as good on the inside as it does on the outside. There's a lining, and you can see they actually took the time to attach the lining to the bottom hem of the skirt so it doesn't shift around. The straps are also constructed very nicely. They're very thin and delicate for this style of dress, but they're perfect, they're neat, nothing weird is sticking out. I'm very impressed so far. The lining on the inside is actually cut in the same shape as the outside. That's going to prevent shifting, and it's going to make the dress look smoother on the outside. All these design elements and craftsmanship does not come cheap. This dress is close to $450. In terms of material, it is mostly cotton with a fair amount of acrylic and some elastin for stretch. To be honest, I'm not a fan of acrylic fibers because I find it tends to pill and it tends to look old faster. But when I put the dress on, I forgot about all of that because it is so lovely. It fit me like a glove. I think it looks really flattering. The waist kind of goes in and gives me some shape, and the length is actually really appropriate for work as well. Moving on to their suiting, I'm trying on this navy blazer. A signature feature of Veronica Beard blazers is the zipper that goes all the way down, and this is intended for you to attach a dickie to it. And I'll show you an example here. This is a hoodie dickie, and it's kind of a faux hoodie that you zip onto the blazer, and it's supposed to give you that layered look without all the bulk. Personally, it's not my style, but I can see the appeal of it. Looking at the inside of the blazer, the lining does not droop down and the corners are super clean. This blazer is meant to be worn rolled up, so you can see there are no button features on the cuff. It does have a back bend despite being a more cropped style, and that's going to give you more freedom of movement. This is a summer blazer, so the shell is viscose with some elastin for stretch. The lining is polyester, which I'm not a fan of because now you have synthetic, semi-synthetic, and it's ultimately not biodegradable. Viscose is a material that tends to wrinkle more, so just be aware of that as well. The buttons are nicely reinforced with a mini button on the inside. These buttons are not likely to fall off at all. The pockets also look very neat. The piping detail is even all the way across. And if you look at the blazer from the back, there's a contrasting fabric under the collar and it looks symmetrical from both sides. It does come at a steep price tag of $700. For this price, you can actually get your own tailored blazer, so I'm not sure if this one's worth it. But on the body, it looks lovely. It fit nicely. It's a very classic style, likely something you'll have for a long time if you choose to invest in this piece. So far, I've been really impressed from what I saw at Veronica Beard. I would definitely consider shopping here, but only if there's a sale. Now going to the other end of the spectrum, we're going to Alice and Olivia, and this is a brand I have never heard of before either, but my friend did ask me to go in and check it out. So compared to Veronica Beard, which is likely aimed at an older audience, this one looks like it's aimed at a much younger audience. The clothes are very fun, very girly, almost quirky. To be honest, this store isn't quite my style and quite my taste, so I picked two things to try on for this review only. So the first is this skirt. I think skirts are amazing. They're so practical and they look cute. And of course, the added security is a nice bonus. This is a tweed fabric with many different components: polyester, viscose, acrylic, nylon, and wool. The zipper was installed nicely, the lining looked good too, but this fuzzy trim on the outside kind of looks like a DIY craft project. Not to say it wasn't constructed nicely, it's just giving me that vibe. And for $265, that is a very expensive craft project. I also tried on this flower halter top. I thought it was kind of cute. The knitting looks good. All the stitching looks nice on it. Definitely also very sheer. But I was pleased to see that it's actually 50% wool, 49% cotton, and only 1% synthetic material. I feel like it would have been very easy for them to go the polyester route on this one, but they didn't. But that does come with a hefty price tag of almost $300. And here is the try on. I think the skirt looks fine, but the top just looks very awkward. Just the way it doesn't lay flat and the way the neckline is stretching. Not sure about this one. But safe to say I probably won't be coming back here to shop. This store is definitely very different and unique aesthetically, but I think the designs need more refinement. And the last store I popped into is And Other Stories. Also a brand I've never heard of until people on Instagram started telling me about it. This is a brand that's part of the H&M group. I have shopped here once and reviewed it in my Paris vlog, so go check that out if you haven't already. I would say this store looks quite similar to the one in Paris. I do have mixed feelings about this store because although I think there are some good pieces, just the way the store is designed doesn't make me excited to shop there. This dress was displayed at the front of the store and I really didn't like it. I know they're trying to do something different, but to me it's just not working. They also had a lot of satin dresses, so I had to take a look at the satin to make sure it was snag proof, and it was. To test the satin to see if it's snag proof, I used something called the fingernail trick. I did make a YouTube short about it, so I'll link it down below. Now let's try on some clothes. I picked two matching sets to try on, one dress and a jacket. The first thing I picked to try on is this linen vest. Now I'm a sucker for linen vests for the summer, and this design was really unique and interesting, although it does remind me of a Reformation one that's a little bit more expensive. Looking at the materials, everything checks out: 100% linen shell and 100% cotton lining, so this is going to be really breathable and nice for summer. Plus, since there's no synthetic in it, it is biodegradable and it's not going to hold on to odor. Looking at the lining, it is constructed well, the edges are finished nicely, there is a little bit of extra fabric so that it can shift with you when you put the item on. The buttonholes are pretty neat too, and the buttons are pretty nice. Now for something like this, I wouldn't expect the buttons to be reinforced. My only concern with this vest is that the back hem doesn't look exactly straight, but otherwise it's a pretty good vest. I got the matching pants to try, and they're also 100% linen, but instead of cotton for the lining, they use viscose, and it's not completely lined, just the pockets. But the fabric they used for the pants seemed like a looser weave with thicker fibers. It's not exactly the same as the vest. Now at first glance, you might think the zipper is installed correctly, but if you look on the right side, you can see that the stitching is a little bit wavy and a little bit crooked. You can see the stitching at the top and the bottom of the zipper is quite close to the teeth, but in the middle there's a bigger gap. But the seam down the middle looks kind of weird to me, kind of like they didn't have enough seam allowance. These pants also have quite a large flap on the bottom, but the corners are pretty sharp and neat. I do like the pocket though, it's pretty hidden and it looks pretty clean. And these trousers do go for $129. Now let's try it on. I think the waistcoat looks really cute. This is definitely something I would consider buying. But these pants, they're so long. Who are these made for? They run quite a bit larger too. And after looking at the online ad, I think this is the intention because on the model, it also looks a bit large and also very long. The fabric of the pants also seem a bit sheer, so I feel like if this was a lighter color, it would definitely be see-through. And looking at the back of the vest, I just want to add that sometimes waistcoats have an adjustable strap at the back to kind of fit closer to your body, but this one doesn't. Moving on, we have this khaki green skirt for $139. The skirt is lined, it has many layers, and this sewing is decent, but it's not the best I've seen. The shell fabric is a blend of lyocell, cotton, and linen, and the lining is cotton. So again, another very breathable piece, great for summer. The straps were a little bit bulky and kind of awkward looking for me. They look like this because there's too much fabric on the inside, so I feel like if they trimmed the fabric closer to the seam and then turn the inside out, these straps will look much better. The belt loops are also just slightly off center, a little bit crooked. Not a big deal, but it bothers me a little bit. The sewing on the bottom of the skirt though, very neat, very close to the edge, looks really clean and crisp. To go with this skirt, I'm also trying on this little knitted tank top for $69. This knit is a blend of lyocell and polyamide, so it has a bit of synthetic in it. And you will see a lot of polyamide or nylon in knits, especially if the knits have structure. Like this one. This knit is a very simple design and I would guess it's mostly machine made. It's 2 pieces of fabric, flat sheets, that are joined at 4 points. Looking at the items on me, I am impressed by the color because even though these are 2 different types of fabrics, they got the color to be pretty close. It could be difficult to get colors to match sometimes because different fabrics take up dye differently, and sometimes you have to mix different dyes for different fabrics to get the same color. Now, I definitely like the idea of this outfit, but this is not something I would buy. Let me tell you why. First of all, this knit has fit problems. You can see the top of the knit doesn't lay flat against my collarbone, and you can see near my armpits there's also a lot of extra fabric. This is why I hardly shop online because you can probably make this knit look very good online. You can probably Photoshop it or adjust it to fit the model's body, but in real life it's not going to fit everybody's body the same way. Now I do like the design of the skirt. It has a shorter tier and is longer, but the sewing combined with the awkwardness of the straps was a deal breaker for me. It's too bad because I think the fabric was really nice. It was smooth to the touch and quite soft. The next item I'm trying on is this bubble dress. Now I think bubble hems are making a huge comeback, which is why when I saw this dress, I wanted to try it on. To my surprise, there is some boning in this dress to help keep it up, so that's a good sign. There's some ruching in the back to allow for better fit. There is an elastic portion on the inside to prevent the dress from slipping down, although that elastic portion only goes across the front. I thought the zipper was installed nicely, the hook and eye is also installed nicely. It looks like the inside is lined with likely a cotton fabric. Now I always wonder how the bubble hems stay like that, and to my surprise, there's no other reinforcements in the skirt, it's just 2 pieces of fabric joined. This dress was a little bit more steep at $279. The fabric is mostly lyocell with some polyester, and I was correct, the lining fabric is cotton. Now even though this dress is not my style, it was very fun to wear. And I really like the ombre dye pattern from orange to yellow to green, kind of reminds me of a sunset. It was very pretty. And with all the added features in the dress, I didn't feel like this dress would easily slip down. This is definitely a fun one, so if it's in your budget and it's your style, I would say go for it. The last thing I tried on is this oversized denim jacket. Now I did consider buying this because it was so cold in LA for some reason and I did not pack any outerwear. It was a bit steep at $139, but we'll see if it's worth it. Looking at the sewing, I gotta say I am quite impressed. Everything is straight, nothing was crooked. The hardware seemed to be installed correctly as well. The material that they made the pocket from was also nice and thick, which I appreciated. The label does warn you to say that the dye may transfer onto lighter color items, which I appreciate, gotta keep things realistic, and the denim is 100% cotton, which is exactly what it should be. Even though the stitching on the outside looked really great, some of the stitching on the inside was a bit messy, but it's not really a big deal. There is a nice extra detail on the waist that you can adjust. The sleeves also look pristine, everything checks out about this jacket. When I tried it on, I actually did really like the fit. It's like a perfect oversized sleeve. The shoulder dropped where my shoulder ended, so it doesn't look hugely oversized. Honestly, I probably would have picked it up, but I do remember I have something similar at home, so I passed on this one. So in conclusion, would I shop here? I think like with most stores, there are hits and there are misses. To shop here, you really have to know what you're looking for. For example, there are some really interesting and unique designs, like this floral tube top and this floral shirt. But there are also really bad items like this really ugly pink bridesmaid's dress, and this item which has so much creasing it was extremely unflattering. It seems like the creasing is from the weight of the fabric and not intentional. Moving on, we're going to Dolce Vita, and this is actually one of my favorite shoe stores before they left Canada. I just think their shoes are so trendy, so cute, and what I really like is that their soles are soft and flexible. That means the shoe is going to move with your foot, it's going to flex with your foot, it's going to be that much more comfortable. The soles on these flats are also padded, again for comfort. And if you're shopping for heels and you want to buy the most stable shoe, make sure the heel is centered to the back heel of your foot. They have some very cute designs in collaboration with For Love and Lemons, and I honestly would have bought something, but they didn't have my size in store. And that concludes my shopping in LA vlog. Did I end up buying anything? No, because I'm a picky shopper. But that's okay because it was really fun to browse and review this for you guys anyway. If there are any brands that you want me to review, make sure you put it down in the comments or make sure you're following me on Instagram where I usually ask you guys for ideas in my Instagram stories. That's it for today. See you next time. Bye!